Amos, and I serve as the Vice President for Advancement here at Millersville University. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 12th Annual Commencement for the College of Graduate Studies and Adult Learning. The formal ceremony will begin in a few minutes. In the unlikely event of an emergency, an announcement will be made from the podium to assist in your safe departure from the gymnasium. If you or anyone seated nearby needs medical attention during the ceremony, we ask you move quietly to find an event staff member or university police. They will direct you to the emergency personnel who are stationed nearby. Out of respect for the graduates and everyone gathered, we ask that all mobile devices be silenced for the duration of the ceremony. Please be mindful that everyone here today would like to hear their student's name announced as they receive their diploma cover and are individually recognized, so hold your applause until the appropriate time. And for the safety of all participants and guests, we ask that everyone remain in your seats until the conclusion of the ceremony. In the interest of continued public safety, congratulatory handshakes will be omitted from today's ceremony. Now please continue to enjoy the video until the ceremony begins, and have a safe and joyous day.
You may be seated. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 12th annual commencement for Millersville University's College of Graduate Studies and Adult Learning. I'm Dr. Gail Gasbridge, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. On this unique occasion, we honor and confer master's and doctoral degrees to the graduate class of 2022. We also greet our guests attending today's ceremony virtually. I now have the honor to present Ms. Melissa Klingen, class of 2021, who will offer a moment of reflection. After Ms. Klingen's message, please stand for the singing of the national anthem sung by Ms. Lindsay Fair, class of 2022.
Whew, all right. When I started my journey in higher education, I was a 22-year-old single mother who statistically wasn't supposed to amount to much. I was a high school dropout, a daughter of a disabled mother, a sister of an addict, a poor girl raised in the inner city of York. I am no stranger to adversity. There was no question about it. I was expected to fail. I began college classes at Hack York campus and transferred to Millersville in the fall of 2013 to complete my bachelor's degree in elementary education. It wasn't easy. I commuted from Hanover to Lancaster 7 days a week for 3 years for both work and school. It took grit. It took determination. It took the support of my wonderful teachers, friends, and the support of my now husband to get me to graduation. But I did it. I refused to fail. It did not come without struggle, but I eventually snagged a long-term sub position that led me to teaching a contract while pregnant with our second child. I had done it. I was a teacher, but I wasn't done yet. I enrolled in graduate classes with Millersville in the fall of 2019. Little did I know, I would begin my journey to obtain my master's mere months before our world would be forever changed. On March 13th, 2020, my 31st birthday, I received the most unexpected birthday present. COVID shut down the schools and the world around us. Nothing would be the same. Yet, I refused to fail. I taught through a pandemic. I raised 2 kids through a pandemic. I finished my master's degree with a 4.0 during a pandemic. Again, I refused to fail. So when I was asked to reflect on my academic experience and its value as I leave this university one last time, I reflect on the experiences, all of the good and all of the bad. I reflect on the teachers and my support system that made me the teacher and the person that I am today. The message that I want to leave with you is this: when the world tells you that you aren't good enough, do it anyway. The world does not know who you are. The world doesn't get to decide that for you. So decide who you want to be. Refuse to fail. Refuse to let the world write your story. As John Green said, what is the point of being alive if you don't at least try to do something remarkable? Be remarkable. Congratulations.
Whose God strikes
Please be seated. Thank you, Melissa and Lindsay. I am honored to introduce those members of our platform party who will not be recognized later as part of the ceremony. Please hold your applause until all have been presented. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is fortunate to have dedicated individuals who serve voluntarily by appointment of the governor on the Millersville University Council of Trustees. Will the following trustees please rise? Dr. Amber Sessoms, Mr. Mike Warfel. The following members of the administration and faculty are also present today. Dr. Kelly Bana, President of Abscoff MU. Dr. Marcia Bolton, Interim Dean of the College of Education and Human Services. Dr. Gilbert Brown, Vice President for Finance and Administration. Dr. Victor DeSantis, Vice President for External Relations and Chief of Staff. Mr. Joshua Hartranft, Interim Chief Technology Officer. Dr. Rachel Finley Bowman, Dean of Student Success and Associate Provost for Academic Support Services. Mr. Thomas Richardson, Interim Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. Mr. Victor Ramos, Vice President for Advancement. Dr. Delray Schultz, Interim Dean of the College of Science and Technology. Dr. Yeva Zaki, Dean of the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. And Dr. Julie Lombardo, Associate Professor of Wellness and Sports Sciences, who is the mace bearer for today's commencement ceremony. In addition, we welcome special guests of the university and other distinguished guests and members of the administration. Please join me in welcoming these members of the platform party and their guests. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Daniel Wuba, 15th President of Millersville University, who will offer greetings and introduce today's commencement speaker.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our graduating students, family members, friends, and our faculty on this special occasion. Before I go any further in this salutation, I would like us to observe a moment of silence for all our colleagues, family, friends who are not with us at this moment. Thank you. For our students today is a milestone in your life that demonstrates that you have accomplished something precious after working very hard. Now, you might say, why do I say that? Let me share some data with you. According to the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, from 2019, for the past 15 years, the percentage of college graduates who get their master's degree has been between 40% and 42%. The percentage of master's degree graduates who get their doctoral degrees has been between 20 and 22%. And the percentage of bachelor's graduates who get their doctoral degrees has been between 9 and 10%. If you consider the fact that only about 60% of students who start 4-year or 2-year colleges are able to graduate, the total number of the percentage of our population that end up getting their doctorate is about 2 to 4%. So it is a major feat that you've been able to get to this point. These data support the need for us to celebrate your accomplishments today. But before we do that, let us recognize those who have made it possible for you to get to this point in your lives. First, let's thank your parents, guardians, families, and friends for the role they played in getting you here. From the time you arrived on this campus to this moment, they have supported and encouraged you. Let's give them and those who are watching online a round of applause. Second, I want to thank our faculty members who walked beside you, our graduates, on your educational journey. They have guided and assisted you in the acquisition of a holistic education in various professions. I especially want to recognize our faculty members' dedication to our students during the past 2 years of the pandemic. Faculty, kindly stand to be recognized. Now, for our graduating students who are already working in their fields, this moment is a clear demonstration of your desire to continuously grow or to increase the tools in your professional toolbox. For others, you jumped into your graduate studies immediately after your baccalaureate degree. But no matter the group in which you belong, our faculty members have nurtured you, challenged you, and prepared you for life after today. Now, as you depart the comforts of being a student, it is likely that some of you are anxious about what the future holds. But don't worry, because I am confident that your education at Millersville University has given you the skills needed to turn challenges into opportunities. During this pandemic, people have been knocked off center by unseasoned, unexpected, and unwelcome change. Like the crashing turbulence of hurricane-whipped waves, dreams, plans, and goals have been ripped apart. For some, unmet expectations have crashed down and piled up along the shores of our lives. We've witnessed social injustice, violence, protest, and armed conflict between nations. There were occasions when we felt misunderstood and disengaged from our neighbors and friends as we tried to make sense of evolving issues and policies. But as the saying goes, the true character of a person comes into play during challenging times. As a student, you have exhibited a high level of tolerance and grit that demonstrates what President John Quincy Adams said, quote, "Patience and perseverance have a magical effect before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish." Although the pandemic hasn't disappeared completely, your character has enabled you to get to this moment. As a member of our community, one of the reasons we are all here today is our core values of exploration, professionalism, public mission, integrity, inclusion, and compassion. Collectively, these values serve as the North Star of our decision-making process and operations in a rapidly changing world. They are lived experiences, and they were manifested in what created and endured over the past 2 years. Today will be filled with many opportunities to create memories. With so much to treasure, it is likely that the words of this speech will soon fade from your memory. But I will ask you just to keep these few reflections in mind. First, Life is made up of challenges and opportunities. At times we call them mountains and valleys. Never forget that it is not the temporary setbacks or the demanding circumstances that will define you, but rather the reaction when they happen and the way you choose to live. It is not the problem, it is how you react to it. Do this in a just manner. Second, each and every one of you has God-given talents. Use your talents for a cause that is truly worthy, that might change the world one life at a time. This should start with your own life. So ultimately, be merciful to yourself and others. And finally, remember that selfless significance is the best way to be successful. Let me repeat it. Selfless significance is the best way to be successful. Be humble and be grateful for all that you have, because even on your worst day, someone will prefer to be you. On behalf of Millersville University, I salute you. Keep us informed of your triumphs, and you have an open invitation to come back often. Remember your roots here with pride. Stay connected to your alma mater. I wish you Godspeed and abundant success. Congratulations. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker today, Dr. Damaris Rao. Dr. Rao has had the Herculean job of being the School District of Lancaster's superintendent since 2015. She steered the 10,200 student district through hard times, including drops in enrollment, COVID-19 school closures, virus mitigation, and cyber instruction. Through it all, I admired her grace and professionalism in handling the many situations thrown at her. When Dr. Rao will depart from her position in July, she will leave the legacy of her perseverance on equitable opportunities for all students, especially high-risk students. Dr. Rao grew up in the foster care and knows firsthand what it means to live in poverty and be at risk of not passing or graduating from high school. During her 35 years of educational experience, she has touched so many. Among her many accomplishments at the School District of Lancaster are: she helped reduce suspensions by 50% since 2015. She introduced technology initiatives, including online learning and a hybrid in-class and cyber pilot program called Full Circle Learning. She oversaw the start of the ARC reading game program for first graders and a positive behavioral program to support student social emotional development. She oversaw the renovation of Lincoln and Reynolds middle schools and the construction of the new Smith Waddell Elementary School, named in honor of and memory of Millersville's beloved professor, Dr. Rita Smith Waddell. And in partnership with Millersville, she created the Principal Residency Program that takes teacher leaders from the classroom and provides instruction and mentoring so that they can become district administrators. Dr. Rao's legacy to our area is remarkable, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker for today, Dr. Damaris Rao.
Good Good evening, Marauders. How are you? Give yourselves a hand. Yes, you made it, even in this terrible rain. But I want to thank the President, President Wuba, members of the Council of Trustees, faculty, staff, and administrators, family members, and of course, the graduates. Congratulations to the graduating master's and doctoral classes of 2022. I know it has been a long road to reach today, your graduation day. Many of you were taking classes here in Millersville when the world we knew closed down in March 2020 because of the pandemic. Learning virtually became a new expectation for us. Those friends and colleagues who had already chosen to take online classes, they were a bit more comfortable than the rest of us. But most of us were not prepared to teach or to learn virtually. And none of us were prepared to live in isolation, away from our families and friends. All of our lives changed in March 2020, here on the Millersville campus and across the Commonwealth. It is not a year we will easily forget, and for many of us, one of the worst years of our life. I know it was the most difficult year in my career because of the pressures of COVID-19 and what that did to education. Across K-12 schools, we created new teaching models, both fully virtual approaches to learning and then hybrid models. Many school districts, like the School District of Lancaster, did not initially have the technology necessary for virtual learning. Then, when we purchased them, we needed to train everyone on how to use them to teach and to learn before we could move forward. Superintendents in school districts across the country had to navigate conflicting guidance from the government and medical institutions related to COVID mitigation procedures as we worried about keeping our students and staff safe. We led during the most agonizing year of our lives, and so did the leaders of institutions of higher learning, like President Wuba. On March 16, 2020, President Wuba announced that all face-to-face classes were transitioning to remote instruction, following the guidance of the Office of the Chancellor of all PASHE schools. Immediately, President Wuba and his administration understood the importance of communication with the Millersville community. President Wuba updated the campus every Friday to provide information critical to understanding the significance of the events to come. An incident response team was created to ensure information sharing, and resources were developed for faculty and instructors, including preparation for remote teaching resources, to prepare for a new model of teaching and learning. Over 200 faculty members participated in training sessions in Zoom and other technology during that first week of March 16th. You guys have a lot to be proud of, faculty. We all had to learn and persevere among these monumental challenges. We are social beings, and learning remotely while isolated from our peers and teachers was very uncomfortable for most of us. Yet throughout the pandemic and the university's closure, Millersville students, faculty, and staff relentlessly pursued Millersville epic values of exploration, professionalism, public mission, integrity, inclusion, and compassion, required to support the health and safety of faculty, staff, and students. These values are universal, and they are fundamental to the leadership in our world, as I know you are destined to provide. As I reflected on Millersville's epic values, I was reminded of one great leader, Representative John Lewis, who served in Congress starting in 1987 and was a lifelong champion for human rights. He died in July 2020. John Lewis demonstrated the same epic values Millersville holds dear throughout his life. I want to remind you of him because society is counting on you more than ever to lead us forward in this new world. Bring your epic values with you to make a difference in the lives of others. As John Lewis urged us all, quote, "Get in trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America," end quote. I encourage you to engage in the epic value of exploration. Many of you are receiving your master's or doctorates in the helping professions, choosing careers in teaching and learning, nursing, social work, mental health, and leadership. I encourage you to go in with your eyes and minds wide open, ready to engage in new and innovative approaches to solve some of the greatest crises in education and health. Whether exploring solutions for reducing gun violence, truancy, mental health illnesses, or diseases, I encourage you to think about how your life's work will improve the lives of others, particularly of children and adolescents. We also have graduates here today in the fields of policy, technology, and entrepreneurship. As our nation becomes more and more divided, I encourage you to be open to exploration and how you can impact the world. In this graduating class, there are inventors, authors, and entrepreneurs. Each of you has multiple opportunities to use your education to support others by exploring new ways of thinking. I encourage you to work to advance equitable education policies and practices that elevate learning for students of color and students from low-income families, so they too have the opportunity to explore right here at Millersville. As John Lewis said, quote, "Nothing can stop the power of a committed and determined people to make a difference in our society." Why? Because human beings are the most dynamic link to the divine on this planet. End quote. The epic value of professionalism is much more than how you present yourselves to others. Professionalism is not just about how you look. Professionalism is reflected in how you treat others and in the words that you use. When you talk to a poor single mom, do you show respect for her efforts to feed and safeguard her children? When you talk to an undocumented immigrant, are you recognizing the bravery it took to get to this country, to cross a river and a desert on foot in order to provide their children with an education? When you disagree, do you disagree respectfully? These beliefs and how you express them to others are symbols of your professionalism. John Lewis was known for his calm demeanor, personal sincerity, and outward humility. Even in the face of racial hostility, John Lewis demonstrated his professionalism through his philosophy of nonviolence. He also demonstrated his professionalism in Congress, where he was known to always seek to work with others across the aisle. After his death, Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, who often clashed with him politically, tweeted, "John Lewis had the backbone of steel surrounded by a gentle spirit. His determination produced important changes. What will people say about you?" So be mindful of those values, but also be mindful of your value of public mission. Do you believe in public mission of doing good for others? As you return to your workplace, remember your why. Why did you choose this master's program? Why did you choose this doctoral program? Why this career path? Public mission is greater than yourself. Public mission means speaking up for people who are not in the room, the voices that have been silenced, those discriminated against by race, religion, socioeconomic status, gender, or sexual identity. It means doing what is right when others are not looking. Public mission means, and again, another quote from John Lewis, quote, "When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something," end quote. So public mission is also greatly aligned to the epic value of integrity. Integrity is what I want to be remembered by when I retire, because integrity reflects truthfulness. In the School District of Lancaster's Equity Steering Committee, our work in developing an equity policy was centered on integrity. Using an equity lens to make decisions requires integrity as we examine our systems that negatively impact certain groups of students. Without integrity, there is no honor. Without integrity, there is no leadership. Integrity is fulfilling your promises. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when it's really hard. John Lewis reminds us about integrity and why it's so important. He said, quote, "If not us, then who? If not now, then when?" End quote. The next epic value is inclusion. Inclusion means standing up for historically underrepresented people and other marginalized people who have helped shape our nation and our culture, and defending the concepts of diversity, equity, and anti-racism. It means advocating for culturally responsive teaching in the classroom, hiring diverse people, and ensuring equal pay for everyone. Inclusion means having leaders at all levels of your organization who represent the diversity of the workforce. You cannot be silent against racism or sexism. As John Lewis said, quote, "We need someone who will stand up and speak out for the people who need help, for people who are being discriminated against. And it doesn't matter whether they are black or white, Latino, Asian, or Native American, whether they are straight or gay, Muslim, Christian, or Jew," end quote. Finally, the epic value of compassion. Compassion is how we should treat each other if we really want the world to be a better place for all peoples. Compassion is not just a feeling. Compassion requires action. It means supporting good causes like Millersville's Epic Student Compassion Fund. The Epic Student Compassion Fund raised over $20,000 from employees, alumni, and friends to assist students in obtaining needed resources during the shutdown, resources like food and housing assistance. Compassion is care with action. Compassion means showing empathy and kindness and wanting to make a difference in reducing the suffering of others. At this time, more than ever, our country needs compassion. We must show compassion towards others. Many of us lost loved ones to COVID-19. We've seen many of our students return to school traumatized due to the impact of the coronavirus. They lost loved ones too. They suffered from social isolation from peers, and many of them experienced mental illness symptoms. As you return to your workplace, be sure to practice compassion. Financially support a cause. Be a mentor. Write a letter to your representatives. Support a colleague. John Lewis exemplified what it means to be compassionate. He was a lifelong champion of human rights and fought valiantly for social justice, equal rights, health care, and anti-poverty legislation. And he had the scars to prove it. As I reflect on my retirement, I am excited to see a new generation of leaders who are ready to enter into public leadership. I have tried to live up to the epic values during my career. Changing historical and institutional practices that negatively affect people of color is not for the faint-hearted. It takes all of your epic values to identify what is in the way and to examine your own house. It takes leadership to stand up for a cause and to speak for those that are not included at the table. You will have many difficult decisions to make in your lifetime, and I hope that if you encompass the epic values of exploration, professionalism, public mission, integrity, inclusion, and compassion, that you will leave a legacy behind that speaks to your character. Equity has been my life's work. I want to encourage you to pick up the baton for equity. As leaders in your organizations, be the ones to speak for those people who are not in the room. To quote John Lewis one last time, quote, "There comes a time when you have to say something. You have to make a little noise. You have to move your feet. This is the time," end quote. John Lewis urged us all to get into good trouble. Let us not let him down. Congratulations again on your educational achievements, and I look forward to hearing about you as you boldly lead into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, for that inspiring address and for sharing what epic values mean to you. As a special note to today's ceremony, we wish to acknowledge the veterans, National Guard reservists, and first responders who are graduating today. We applaud their dedication to their studies and service to our country. Will all of the graduating veterans, reservists, and first responders present please stand to be recognized? Thank you for your service. I'm pleased to now welcome Dr. James Dell, Associate Provost for Academic Administration and Dean of the College of Graduate Studies and Adult Learning, who will present the graduate candidates.
We shall now proceed with conferring of master's degrees. Will the candidates for the Master of Arts, Master of Education, Education Specialist, Master of Science in Nursing, and the Master of Social Work degrees now please rise? Dr. Wuba, the graduate candidates present have taken all of their examinations and are being recommended for their degrees by the graduate faculty of their respective college. I recommend that you now confer upon them the appropriate master's degree.
Upon the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, through the Board of Governors and the Council of Trustees, I confer upon you the appropriate master's degree, together with all of its associated rights and privileges and responsibilities. You may be seated.
At this time, I ask the master's degree candidates to proceed to the stage to receive their diplomas when directed by the marshals.
Melinda M. Vasquez Markley. Patrick C. Minch. Danielle Maureen Foster. Danielle Carol Hornung. Rebecca Lynn Polachik. Caroline R. Pritchard. Julia Grace Rutherford. Rachel Emily Crispin. Elizabeth Rose Kelly. Brooke Ashley Unger. Jared Michael Ludek. Alyssa Sage McAndrews. Frank George Leonardis. Bailey Rocco. Christy Hinkle. Francesca Marie Roten. Mary Leanna Hoffman. Mark Hare. Gordon D. Bolig. Logan Day. Aspen Brianna Brennan. Jordan Thelma Barr. Morgan Joe Glassy. Pamela Nicole Lozano. Jamie Warsheniak Bush. Laura Rivera Castaño. Marissa A. Farrow. Vishwa Patel. Taylor Renee Bennett. Teresa Marie Ramsey. Ashley Christine Duin. Emily Mealer. Kayla Jordan Whittington. Deanna Fry. Jenny Anisi. Alexis Urbanik. Malin Serena Vasquez. Carly M. Lepley. Kendra Tate. Emily F. DeCola. Alexandria Christina Green. Chantel Yvonne Moman. Jacqueline Kirkesner. Nina Ann Ankney. Jessica Finsterbush. Stacy Trier. Jacqueline Prince. Jerry Lynn Whitey. Jenna D. Grafe. Brittany Leffler. Alexandra Jean-Paul. Jamise Nicole Preston. Terry Bonet Pugh. Kara Ann Elizabeth Peterson. Lauren J. Taddeo. Amanda Elaine Gordon Forst. Marie Anastasia Dunkel. Haley Elizabeth Billett. Jordan Elizabeth Trout. Evelyn Cheeto Lacato. Megan Alexandra Schulman. Zachary Lee Railing. Jordan D. Ames. Melissa Lynn Klingen. Olivia S. Benbow. Caitlin M. Blanchette. Tyler Small. Stephanie M. Snavely. Lauren R. L. Braille. Karina Fiore. David P. Woosner, Jr. Christopher John Voshell. Ashley J. Weatherby. Tara Lynn Caterman.
Brittany Courtwright.
Jenna Conroe. Megan R. Klopp. Amanda T. Davis. Sarah J. Kensinger. Ashley Posh. Megan Elizabeth Murphy. Rebecca Ann Lehman. Ashley Marie Cabezas. Jessica Elizabeth Violante. Megan A. Pratt. Hannah Nicole Standish. Natalia Pena. Hannah Noel Stoner. Nathan Michael Andrews.
Ryan D. Herrera.
Simone Weeks. Iman S. Al-Faidi. Shanze Khan. Sarah D. Richardson. Janine Selfridge. Brandon J. Stout. Jessica Lynn Zentner. Christina A. Young. Lindsay Marie Epler. Emily E. Shriver. Natalie Alexis Herzog. Meredith Sefcik. Mackenzie David Ergood. Gabrielle Vaxmansky. Elizabeth Sager. William Joseph Halco. Isabel A. Baumgartner. Sadie Noel Wentland. Caitlin M. Bennett. Daniela Jane Prisco. Christina Marie Pauli. Danielle Morgan Taylor. Joe M. Caruso. Lauren Ann Byers. Trajan Amir Dinkins. Michelle Marlene Behrens. Mary Gabriella Johnson. Samantha K. Fiore.
Caitlin Neglich.
Erin Kathleen Lynch. Jennifer Rose Clark. Michael Lee Schmidt. Monica Jo Ward. Christina Pauline Diefendorfer.
Kumadan Igor.
Gary A. Grafe II. Benjamin Reppert. Matthew Lawrence Broody. David Francis Blutis. Nathan Malecki. Anthony J. Iampietro. Zachary Jacob Kraus. Michaela Paige Salvetti. Jennifer Rose Weaver. Jesse Richard Tomas. Augustine Changwani Chebarwet. Bethann Ohop Linenbaugh. Brad A. Hertzler. Jesse E. Stefanescu. Megan Simmons. Danielle Samantha Miller. Erica J. Lehman. Susan Catherine Baldwin. Justin Stone McPhail. Andrew Michael Glindeman. Meredith Johnson Jester. Navdeep Kaur Guman. Nicole Lee Grissinger. Daniel Vincent Limbo. Jeanette A. Stambaugh. Andre Boska. Beth D. Projan. Bradley A. Weavido. Kelsey Kimmenauer. Melissa Schroy. Bethany Han Luckenbill. Lee Stone McKissick. Rebecca Lynn Troutman. Tierra R. Brown. Michelle Ann Stoyanovich. Rachel Lee Mowry. Natalie Elizabeth Preston. Chintan Patel. Joseph Matthew Casco. Daniel J. Hart. Cole Douglas Lefevre. Nora Elaine Long. Catherine Francis Rosman. Amy E. Jones. Ana Carolina Munar Bolanos. Jenna Corinne Longenecker.
Let's now take a moment to recognize these students with a warm round of applause for their outstanding achievements. But we're not done. We shall now proceed with the conferring of doctoral degrees. Will the candidates for the Doctorate in Education, Educational Leadership, and in partnership with Shippensburg University, the Doctor of Social Work in partnership with Kutztown University, and the Doctor of Nursing Practice, please rise. Dr. Wuba, the doctoral candidates present here have met all the requirements, taken all of their examinations, presented their dissertations, and are being recommended for their degrees by the graduate faculty of their respective college. I recommend that you now confer upon them the appropriate doctoral degree.
Upon the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania through the Board of Governors and the Council of Trustees, I confer upon you the appropriate doctoral degrees, together with all of its associated rights, privileges, and responsibilities.
At this time, I ask all doctoral candidates to please proceed to the stage to receive their diplomas.
Chris M. Sattel, Doctor of Education. His dissertation title is How Black Male Basketball Players at the Division III level navigate the space of racial identity in college, a phenomenological study. He is being hooded by his dissertation chair, Dr. Tiffany E. Wright. May I introduce to you Dr. Christopher M. Sattel. Erica L. Maloney, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is Social Workers and Labor Unions. It's complicated. Exploring attitudes, experiences, and perceptions. She is being hooded by Dr. Laura Granruth. May I introduce to you Dr. Erica L. Maloney. Carrie Elizabeth Blakesley Snyder, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is Say the Word, Is Disability Included in Diversity Training for Social Work Educators? She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Laura B. Granruth. May I introduce to you Dr. Carrie Elizabeth Blakesley Snyder. Nicole Rochelle Irish, Doctor of Education. Her dissertation title is Supporting Social Presence, a phenomenological study of the perceptions of intermediate elementary teachers who taught virtually during the COVID-19 pandemic. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Ann Gaudino. May I introduce to you Dr. Nicole Rochelle Irish. Christy L. Prime, Doctor of Education. Her dissertation title is The Perceptions of School Leaders and Parents about the Experiences that Minority Children in Poverty Have in Elementary School. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Ann Gaudino. May I introduce to you Dr. Christy L. Prime. Christina Lynn Helfrich, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is Champions for Teens Pilot Intervention, Increasing the Social Capital of Homeless Youth. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Karen M. Rice. May I introduce to you Dr. Christina Lynn Helfrich. Solomon D. Hill, Doctor of Social Work. His dissertation title is, What are Students' Perceptions of Online Social Work Education, specifically MSW programs? He is being hooded by his dissertation chair, Dr. Karen M. Rice. May I introduce to you Dr. Solomon D. Hill. Bridget Nicole Montgomery, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is Digital Immigrants Raising Digital Natives, Perceptions of Social Media's Influence on Youth's Social, Emotional, and Behavioral Development. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Karen M. Rice. May I introduce to you Dr. Bridget Nicole Montgomery. Janice L. Nuss, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is The Impact of Global Learning on Social Work Student Values. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Karen M. Rice. May I introduce to you Dr. Janice L. Nuss. Abigail A. Wilson, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is Social Workers and Child Welfare, Perceptions and Factors of Career Trajectory After Graduation. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Heather L. Gervin. May I introduce to you Dr. Abigail A. Wilson. Shin Wan Yu, Doctor of Social Work. Her dissertation title is Social Work Awareness of Hospice Referrals in the Veterans Health Administration. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Dr. Curtis D. Proctor. May I introduce to you Dr. Shin Wan Yu. Tiffany Michelle Boyd, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Her capstone project title is Interdisciplinary Collaboration in Addressing the Needs of Students Diagnosed with Pediatric Anti-Immune Neuropsychiatric Disorders Associated with Streptococcal Infections. She is being hooded by her dissertation chair, Kelly Coons. May I introduce to you Dr. Tiffany Michelle Boyd. Michelle Lee Coral, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Her capstone project title is Motivational Interviewing to Increase Adherence of Therapies for Improved Management and Outcomes Among Patients with Type 2 Diabetes Mellitus. She is being hooded by her capstone project advisor, Dr. Kelly Coons. May I introduce to you Dr. Michelle Lee Coral. Kelly Anna Fedoroff, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Her capstone project title is Integrating Evidence-Based Screening, Brief Intervention, and Referral to Treatment, SBIRT, into an FNP program. She is being hooded by her capstone project advisor, Dr. Kelly Coons. May I introduce to you Dr. Kelly Anna Fedoroff. Tasha Nicole Gilmet, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Her capstone project title is Utilizing Prenatal Education and the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale to Improve the Detection of Depression Among Healthcare Providers and Men in the Postpartum Period. She is being hooded by her capstone project advisor, Dr. Jenny Mon. May I introduce to you Dr. Tasha Nicole Gilmet. Alicia Shilkin, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Her capstone project title is Implementation of an Educational Program and School Nurse Procedure to Address Adolescent Vaping. She is being hooded by her capstone project advisor, Dr. Don Lambert. May I introduce to you Dr. Alicia Shelkin. Heather Elaine Shooker, Doctor of Nursing Practice. Her capstone project title is Dietary Self-Monitoring for Weight Loss in Adults with Obesity. She is being hooded by her capstone project advisor, Dr. Teresa Hartman. May I introduce to you Dr. Heather Elaine Shooker.
I think at this time it's appropriate to give our doctoral candidates a big round of applause. On behalf of Millersville University, its faculty, staff, and student body, we join your family and friends in extending to you our warmest congratulations and best wishes as you pursue your goals. I wish to express sincere appreciation to Ms. Klingan and Ms. Fair, to the marshals, to Dr. Sanuto and the University Wind Ensemble, and other program participants for their role in today's ceremony. I also wish all of the mothers in the audience a heartfelt Happy Mother's Day in advance. Let us also remember the women and men who are serving throughout the world and who are away from their family and friends. I wish all of you gathered here today a safe journey home. And now, kindly refer to the last page of your program as we conclude the ceremony with the singing of the first and third verses of the Alma Mater, led by Miss Fair and performed by the Millersville University Wind Ensemble. Will the audience kindly rise and remain standing until the recessional has ended? Thank you.